What's up everyone, Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and it is a heavy week because CES just happened. Every company flexed. Last week you guys got off light because I was on my way there. So if you want to see some stuff from CES show floor itself, check out the links below. There was a lot of tech news, a lot of gear and all that stuff. I'm going to brush on some of the things that we saw at CES, but for the most part, I don't want to keep repeating things and put it down in the links below. So check out the CES videos, see all the releases, but we'll talk about some things. But before we get into that came out, let's talk about some stuff that's being taken away, like Canon EF mount glass. They're saying they will not be putting out any new lenses for the EF mount. They're going to focus on the RF mount, which is the mirrorless system full frame, unless the market demands that they want new lenses. Now, this doesn't mean that they're stopping production of EF mount glasses. They're just saying there'll be no new iterations, no new updates to glass that's out there, or new lenses in general that they haven't made before. Research and development. It all takes a long process. Lenses take a long time to come to fruition, honestly. So they're going to focus everything on RF, the full frame mirrorless mount, which is what a lot of people have been saying, like, why don't you just start focusing on that, get us a pro body, get us this, get us that. Well, now they're going to go do that. For everyone that's kind of feeling broken about this, well, you've had over 3 decades of glass for the EF mount, including multiple updates to legacy lenses that are out there. So like the 7200, but let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you are someone in the EF mount system that has been wanting some lenses that they never put out. Let me know if there are some lenses that you have had in your mind that you thought they were ever going to put out that never did. So write me down below. I'm really curious about that. But let's talk about some adaptation of that EF mount. So this was kind of crazy. I found it everywhere. This company, Techart, is making an adapter for Canon EF mount to Nikon Z mirrorless. So this is kind of nuts because they're claiming that you lose no autofocus speed. It is on par with the native Z mount lenses that are for the system. And you have access to anything with that EF mount, including Sigma, Tamron, Tokina, some Zeiss lenses that are out there. So if you already have Canon EF mount glass, most of it, I think there's a couple things like Samyang that they're not guaranteeing that will work with this, or manual lenses won't really work with this. But if you have anything that's more modern or autofocus from any of these brands that have the EF mount protocol in it, they're saying it's basically seamless. And it's a $250 adapter to go from Canon glass onto a Nikon Z mount, which is pretty nuts. Let me know if you're someone that was thinking about switching over, or maybe you just wanted to get like a Nikon Z6, which is like a $1,700 body, and now you have the ability to use all your Canon glass with it in case you wanted it for video as opposed to what your Canon offers, all sorts of stuff. I'm really wondering who this appeals to. Is this kind of like a $250 trial thing? Like you get to just take your lenses over to a system and see if you like it. It's kind of nuts. It is pretty cool to see that there's more options out there for systems, especially that are in their infancy, like the mirrorless systems from the big companies that have just put them out like in the last year or two. So let's see where this goes. We'll keep an eye on that one. And speaking about what's possible for the Z mount, the 7200 f2.8 VRS LMNOP lens has come out for the Nikon Z system, which is part of the Trinity, right? This is a staple lens that people are waiting for, but it is the first stabilized lens. And they're also saying that they have some new coatings in it that will play with the blue spectrum to limit the chromatic aberration, which I actually do believe. I was trying to max it out on the show floor. You can see that there's not any kind of fraying on the color there. Really beautiful glass. It is a $2,600 price point, which is pretty much the same as everyone else's lens in that system. It is internal zoom, so they're claiming that it'll be tighter on weather sealing, and it's just better for ergonomics and grip and just speed as well. What can I say about it? It's the lens that we were expecting would come out for the Z mount. This is what Camera Systems put out. The stabilization offers 5 stops of stabilization with the in-body for the Z system in collaboration with it, which is pretty good for full frame. I know there's other systems like Micro Four Thirds that have like 7 stops or whatever, but that is a smaller sensor, less processing, more room for it to move, all sorts of stuff like that. A whole nother ball game when it comes to full frame. I'm curious how fast the rest of the roadmap for the Z lenses will come out. I mean, they've promised a lot of things. I mean, they can only grow the lenses from here, but obviously now we have these adapters, and there's other lenses that are out there that could probably work. If they open up the Z mount licensing to other third parties, we'll see more glass faster. That's kind of the game now, right? All these new systems. We got the L mount, we got the RF mount, we got the Z mount. These are things that never really were out there before that need to be matured and evolved a little bit. So I'm going to keep going with the Nikon news because I think they made a pretty good splash at CES, putting out a whole succession of things, including the D780, which I was like, whatever. And then I got over to it and I understood why it was kind of such a big deal to some people. So pretty much this is the D750 updated with a new processor and the Z6 sensor, so that when it is in mirrorless mode, meaning the mirror's flipped up, you're shooting in live view, you have basically a Z6 in that camera. When the mirror's down, you have the 51 autofocus points of a DSLR, you have the D5 algorithm autofocus. They're claiming that it's the same, but it felt good. I tried out the autofocus, it was pretty fast, very responsive, seemed pretty accurate. The mirror flipped up, which is where I thought it was pretty interesting, because if you wanted to have a camera that could do really good video, you now have it with 10-bit outboard, as well as all the phase detect autofocus that's happening on that sensor, and hybrid log video. That's pretty crazy. So they're really putting a lot of emphasis in video. Nikon hasn't really done that too heavily until now. They weren't really thought of in the video space, and now we're seeing them really throw it into everything they're coming out with slowly. And I say slowly because the Z mount's already like over a year old. Z mount, the Z series I should say, is already a year old. And the Z6, I personally bought one for video, and I'm pretty happy with it. But if you're in the Nikon system, you were kind of stuck with having a Nikon still and trying to find something else for video. But now I think they're trying to bridge all of it together, and this is only leading into clues of what the D6 could be about. We saw the Canon 1DX Mark III be a killer release for Canon. What a statement that camera was. Might be their final DSLR, we don't know, but it does allude to where they're thinking in the future. Of course, now they just announced that they're not going to make any more EF lenses, so I guess that's pretty much a clue to this might be the final 1DX Mark III DSLR, is like the end of the flagship DSLRs for Canon, and it'll be put out an R system going forward. Nikon is up next to release the D6, and what I'm getting at is basically all these releases just kind of clue into the tech that they were working on forever to stuff into that giant tank of a body. And I'm just going to cap out with the 780 by saying the 750 is still going to be available. So if you didn't want to spend the $2,300 to $2,600 price point of the D780 when that comes out, the D750 is still available for about $1,500, and I've seen it go on sale for even lower than that. So they're going to offer that still as like an easy bang for the buck kind of thing. It's still a great camera. It was always recommended by many people for a good starter camera or a secondary for wedding shooters. And to cap out the Nikon news for this week, Nikon also put out the P950, which is a compact all-in-one super zoom camera. So if you're just looking for something with a quick snap ability, 24 to 2000 millimeter zoom on this thing, optical, which is what you want because optical is the actual glass. Digital zoom means it's enlarging the pixels and you're just degrading the image quality. It's about an $850 price point, so that might be for someone that's just looking for a real quick, small, all-in-one system that if they're traveling, want to get that reach, they have that ability. Also, it does pretty good macro, apparently, at about a ½ an inch minimum focusing distance, which is kind of nuts. All right, let's get into some Canon stuff. I feel like I've been jumping all around on the brands because that's what CES was. It was like an overload of like brands and all the tech that they're putting out there. But Canon's actually thinking about more than just the tech right now. So they're actually putting out a photographer matching service. Right now it's in beta. There is a waiting list for it. What is this? What does this mean? Okay, so pretty much it's a job listing board. It's basically Canon going, hey, if you're looking for a photographer, here's some people that we can recommend to you based on the style that they have, the genre that they shoot, and what you are looking for. And I guess because Canon's putting their name on it, it'll put some people or potential clients at ease that they can rest assured that you're validated by a major company, probably the biggest in the game, saying, hey, check these photographers out. It is still in beta, like I said, so there's no harm in joining the waitlist. You do not have to shoot Canon to be on this. It's just like no purchase necessary to enter the sweepstakes. Same deal. They're just putting this up there. I think that's pretty great on Canon's part. We've been hearing a lot from people that the industry's changing so quick underneath people's feet. They're not assimilating fast enough. There's new markets. There's less markets. There's smaller day rates. All sorts of things going on here. I think that for the most part, this is a communal move, and it can only help Canon by getting people jobs so that they stay working, so that they buy more gear, right? So that is pretty smart. Good job on you, Canon. Let's talk about some techie tech. So Samsung was at CES, and what a booth. What a monster, beautiful booth that they put out there. But what I thought was interesting was this, the T7 Touch Portable SSD. This right here is a fingerprint scanner, so you cannot access these drives without the fingerprint okay, just like on an iPhone or the MacBooks and also all the other things. It is also password protected and 256-bit encryption. So this is a super secure drive, SSD. I think the only thing about this is that if you're working on a production team and you hand it off to people, how many fingerprints can you scan onto this to make it unlockable? It's really just to be super secure for you. We're living in a time when hard drives are stolen all the time. I mean, we just reported a couple weeks ago about a photographer who lost endangered species images by having their hard drive stolen at an airport. Not that they'll get them back, but at least they wouldn't get released out there, and who knows where they would end up. Or maybe we would want that because otherwise they wouldn't get shared any other way. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this is crazy? Do you think this is overkill? I think that we need more security in this day and age. Of course, this is hardware security. This is mean like physical fingerprint on a drive. This isn't just like files being encrypted or trying to find the original source or blockchain or whatever else. Let me know what you think about that down below. I'm really interested about that. This actually is available. This isn't just like some unicorn technology. It is available out there. It's starting at about $130. It's going all the way up to $400 based on how much space you need, 500, 1 terabyte, or 2 terabytes. So just so you know about that. Speaking of new technology that's out there, I thought this was super cool. Hold on, let me just cue it up for you guys. Boom. We have this in the CES videos in the links down below, but check this out. Insta360 unveiled the 1R modular action camera with Leica's stamp on it. What is this thing? It is awesome. That's what it is. I know you're thinking it's like, oh, it's a GoPro, but it's not. It's like this crazy Lego system. So you can have a 1-inch sensor with a Leica lens, which is the largest sensor in this genre, or class, I should say. You have a screen that can flip both forward and backwards. You can clip into a 360 double 180-degree lens module, so you can have a 360 camera, and you don't have to keep on buying different cameras. It's all right there. They're working on things to just clip around modularly around drones and things that already exist. The battery clips off, and of course it's waterproof, because why not? They've done some amazing things even with the software and the algorithms after the fact, so it can actually take a 360 video for you and notice where the highlights are in its AI. So you have to trust the AI. I don't know yet. I haven't tried that part out. But it is saying that if you're just someone that wants to take something cool and put out something cool, they got you covered. So from the 1-inch sensor, which is better in lower light, the Leica glass, and the Leica color profiling, you're looking at image quality. I saw some video clips from it. It looks pretty good. I am still wanting to get my hands on it to actually see legit footage out of it without them like polishing it up for me or putting it in the, the greatest light in the world. I want to see what it can really do. I do think that it's really interesting that you can just grow with the camera or take away the pieces you're not using so much, or maybe one day you get tired and instead of having to look for a new system, you just buy the 360 module and you play with that. I think this is a really well thought out system. I had it in hand at CES and it felt great, like it was built really well. If you want the screen facing you, you flip it around. If you want to have the screen facing the other way so you're filming somebody else, you flip it around. It has audible signals, like you can tell it to mark the video, and while you're filming it, it'll mark the video in it so you can remember placement of while you were filming. It's super well thought out, and I'm really curious to see where this takes content creation going forward. Like it looks like we're losing the limits, right? We can just do whatever we want. Creative freedom is out there, and it's not even that crazy of a price point. We're looking at like $550 for the most expensive edition, and then the modules after the fact. So let's say you wanted the 1-inch edition with the 1-inch sensor. So maybe that's like $480 to $500. And then if you wanted the module, you can add that later instead of buying a whole nother camera for $360. It's just awesome, and it being waterproof and stuff like that is just great. Let's talk about a company that's been around for a long time that did something super surprising, in my opinion. Manfrotto has put out rugged memory. What? Yeah, we're talking about secure digital SD, we're talking about compact flash and micro SD. I wish they would put out CF Express because I feel like that's the new memory, but they're saying it's super, super tough, just like the Sony Tough cards, but they're saying they're even tougher than that. The price point seems to be pretty moderate. It goes up to $150, of course, depending on how much memory you need, but I just think it's really interesting to see a company that were known mainly for grip, tripods, you know, maybe some LED light panels at most, getting into memory cards. So that's pretty interesting, and I think it can only help, right? I think the more companies that make the memory makes more options, makes the prices go down, makes the technology more readily available. It's not that like, does this store carry it, or can I find this? Or more options is always better for us, the consumers, okay? Let's talk about something less tech for a second. Italian Vogue. They unveiled the photo-free issue, which is fine, but they're claiming that it's based on being better for the environment. Yeah, so it's cool they showed paintings and comic book artists and illustrators. That's great. But the fact that they're pushing it as, oh, this was better for the environment because when you do a photo shoot, you have plastic on the wardrobe and that's dangerous for the environment. Or you're charging batteries and using electricity and all sorts of different things that they're trying to claim are detrimental to the environment. And then they're probably going to go right back to using photos for the next issue. I have an issue with the fashion industry being fake philanthropic and going like this, and then they go right back to where they were, or they talk a huge game while they're wearing stuff that's made in China. So it's kind of like, what are you doing? I do commend them for trying a different medium. They could have just gone, hey, the new issue is all, you know, hand-done artwork, or, you know, it's 2D space, or it's paintings, or whatever it is. It could have been anything else. I mean, you could argue that there's paints that are harmful to the environment. You could do anything and say it's harmful to the environment, but to claim that photography is harmful to the environment, and that's the basis for going photo-free on the issue, I kind of have an issue with. Let me know down below what you think about that. And don't forget Vogue. It was images and photos that sold your magazines to be the legacy brand that it is out there in publishing. So don't forget all those covers that sold and made you all that, you know, credibility out there of getting mass eyes on to brand names and designers and other things like that on your industry in general. I sound a little angry about this one, and I was totally cool with it. I was like, oh, who cares? They didn't use photos. That's great. You know, one issue they don't use photos. Who cares? It's kind of cool that they're supporting artists. But to tell me that what we do is killing the environment is a little rough, when there's plenty of moments in this industry that photographers have done to save wildlife, bring attention to areas of the world that need help, help the environment. I mean, it's crazy to say something like that. But then again, they got me talking about it to an audience, so maybe this is part of it, that they got a little bit of an uproar about it, and there's more discussion and it's more widespread. Anyway, let's go back to tech, and let's go back to my buddies at Tether Tools. Yeah, Tether Tools launched the Air Direct wireless tethering system. I tried this back at Photo Plus. It seems pretty legit. It's working off of Wi-Fi, so it's wireless tethering shooting. You can see it transfers RAW and JPEG. In the past, it's been too slow to really get a RAW file off the ground. I mean, I'm not joking when I say it was about 2 to 3 minutes before a RAW file would show up. Now they're saying that's 5 times faster transfer speed, 200 feet, which is longer than any other wireless system so far. It does use Canon batteries as a power system, and it's compatible with almost all the tethering software, Capture One, Lightroom, and their own smart shooter software. And it's not even that crazy of a price if you think about it. For a wireless system that's using Wi-Fi, we're looking at about $330, which is not crazy, right? It's a one-time buy. What I'm wondering is, let me show you this. What I'm wondering is, how long is it going to take for this to turn into an integrated system, right? Like, this still feels like Gen 1, Gen 2-ish, but who's going to say that maybe like Sony goes, hey, Tether Tools, we're going to buy this, and then we'll call this a Tether Tools enabled Sony Alpha or something like that. How long till it's actually just a camera feature and not an outboard accessory? Cables are becoming less and less of a thing. We're seeing AirDrop and others, wireless charging. We're seeing so many things getting rid of cabling out there, which is kind of cool, right? Because there's a million ports, length of cables. There's plenty of times a cable is too long to even work. If you use a tether cable beyond 15 feet, you have connection issues right off the bat from voltage not staying consistent, which is what the booster cables are about, all sorts of stuff. So I'm really wondering where this goes. I would like to get this in my kit right off the bat. It is another battery to charge. I use Nikon for my commercial work, so I'd have to start buying Canon batteries. You know, there's all sorts of stuff that to put into play with this. But it's a really great step forward because the past wireless tethering systems have only been really for JPEG and you know, haven't really been the most reliable thing on earth, but it has worked. It really has. There, you know, Cam Ranger, all sorts of things out there. This, I feel like, is definitely the first legit throw at wireless tethering that I've seen, and trying it at Photo Plus in a very noisy signal environment like the Javits Center here in New York and having it work was very impressive to me. Okay. CES, we also saw the new Mevo camera. If you don't know what Mevo is, it's tiny little cameras that let you live stream to Facebook, YouTube, and other things. Me, Daniel Norton, and some others right here on the channel have been using Mevos on our own personal channels because they were below $500. They were super portable. Batteries, can record, can live stream, and now they have a new all-in-one live streaming content camera. So this is a 1080p resolution Sony sensor. It does 2.07 megapixel stills if you want that. Which is pretty good if you want to do something for a thumbnail, right? 30 frames per second, does record and does live stream, like I just said. Does it to Periscope, Twitter, Facebook Live, YouTube, Vimeo, custom RTMPs, and live stream. This is the one I think is pretty interesting, though, that it has an input for external audio equipment, which is great. And it also supports Ethernet cable direct in instead of just using your cell phone data or Wi-Fi, and of course it's Bluetooth capable, so it can spot your phone and all other stuff. The one thing I loved about the previous Mevo cameras was I could take my phone, put a lav into it, and use the Mevo app to control what I'm doing, and this becomes a lav pack to the camera itself. If you're wondering what that's about, you can check out my own personal YouTube, youtube.com/lastxwitness. Check out any video on there, and it's pretty much done with the Mevo system. Same thing with Daniel Norton's channel. You can check him out. That's with the Gen 1, Gen 2 versions of the Mevo cameras that have been out there. This is the next iteration with 4 hours of battery life. Right now, my camera gets about an hour of battery life without the booster tower thing that they also add onto it. So I'm going to leave all the news there. What I want you guys to do is check out all the CES coverage that we did live from the floor. You can see the Nikon lens. You can talk to Canon about the 1DX Mark III, the Wi-Fi capabilities, and Panasonic killing it with these live streaming camcorders with Matt Frazier over here. It was pretty awesome to talk to these guys. Not to mention day 2 where we talked to Lenovo, where they had some amazing technology with the foldable screens, which were just nuts. I mean, these things are... It was like something you thought about forever, and now they're like, it's like right there in your hands. You can see they're just folding it. It changes the way it works as after you fold it. They had the Razer phone, the new Razer out there, which was awesome. Then we got to talk to MSI, also talk to Razer, the computer company itself, to talk about what they're putting out there for content creators, not just gaming. And of course, the Insta360 modular camera. We got to actually talk to them about it, what they're excited about, what they were thinking about when they put it out, which is super important, right? It's not just about spec sheets, it's about the philosophies of the company, what they will support, where the progression is going to go. So pay attention to that stuff as well, not just like who has the most megapixels and who has more autofocus points. Like, no, you have to hear about where a company is going, what they're thinking about, because if you invest into a system, you want to know where that system is going to be with you 2-3 years down the line, and that just means future-proofing yourself and not having to start all over if a system isn't working for you. And I'm going to cap this week out with the shout out of the week. I said this year I'm going to focus on positive instead of negative. I used to go kind of face to face with trolls in the comments here, but instead I'm going to celebrate all you guys that have been supporting Adorama TV. And one of the people that does that, hands down, is Christian, the photography elite. This guy puts in a ton of work, beating the hell out of his cameras in the pits at metal shows. I think that's where his work really excels, when you see stuff like this. He's doing a really great job out there, has a lot of passion for the game, and has been spamming a ton of forums out there to help out Adorama TV get more eyes and grow this audience. And we are at almost 1 million followers right here on Adorama TV, or subscribers, I should say. And you're part of that if you're subscribed. So you're 1 in a million. Once we get to 1 million subscribers, you know that Adorama is going to do something huge. huge. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram for IGTV. A lot of tutorials going on IGTV and the live streams there as well. Not to mention Adorama XP on Twitch. I'm up there every Sunday. We might be changing to Fridays, just a heads up. And I'm slinging gift codes out for trivia. So $10, $15 gift codes every now and then. Adds up, gets you guys a break on some stuff from Adorama.com. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Before I get out of here, I just want to let you guys know that this week I will be at Imaging USA. So if you are in Nashville and you're going to Imaging, I will be teaching some off-camera flash, 3 sessions in a row on Saturday. And Tuesday, I will be on stage on a platform class talking about using DIY materials and some of my tribulations in my own career and why I never gave up at it and why you shouldn't either. And also, if you're going to WPPI, myself, Daniel Norton, and Vanessa Joy will be at WPPI in Vegas, February 23rd to 27th. I'll be doing Portraits on the Go, which is a photo walk, and I'll be doing Creative Exposures, which is shutter draggy, weird, you know, pop and blur type stuff right there in the Vegas showrooms. Okay, I'll leave it there. I said that like 4 times this one. And it was a long one, but you got off light last week, right? That was like 7 minutes, which is probably why all the views went up. You guys like, I can't handle Seth for more than 7 minutes. The question of the week: what were you hoping to see at CES? What's the technology that we don't have that you're really wondering, where is it? Why don't we have this yet? I'm like, where are my flying cars? I thought I'd have flying cars by now. Let me know what technology, as far as we've come, what technology you think we're like, where is it? How long is it going to take for this to come out? Write me down below. You guys can follow me at LastXWitness on social media. If you want to yell at me there, get at me on Twitter and all that other stuff. No problem. If there's some news sources you think I should check out, let me know. If there's some other news out there during the week that you think should be on Rewind, shout it at me. I'm down to take a look at anything that's going on out there. Okay, guys? Don't forget to share this video around, hit like, hit the bell so you know when these videos come out, so you can jump on them when they are up there and you don't miss out on the up-to-date news that we got going on for you, and techniques and instructional videos from all of our hosts and all new products and everything else like that. Okay, I feel like I went like 8 million miles an hour, but that's just how it rolls. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.